Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start for this not so Saturday morning over here from a somewhat bright Helsinki, Finland. The sun is ever so slightly rising and it's almost 10:45 a.m. But we're going to have it up for maybe like 2 hours and then back to the doom again. Anyways, with that said, this is going to be a big setup for the week to come. Obviously, we'll cover some weekend price action, I guess, first, just because I suppose. But more importantly, we just had a phenomenally massive Friday. That being obviously CME's weekly closure, but even more important than that is several other things. That being, of course, the triple witching, which is, of course, stock, options, and futures expiration all at the same time. And on top of that, it's even more important because it is the last Friday. It's basically the last trading day for professionals of the year. So a lot of people are closing positions. Flows are obviously going to be a little bit more diabolical in that sense. What do I mean by that? Essentially, people are closing their positions to realize their P&L so they can lock in their bonuses for end of year. Obviously, tax harvesting is going to be a thing as well. And professionals want to start their next year flat and neutral so that they can, well, just build it up from there. That is quite normal. And realistically, these next couple of weeks, whilst there is still a little bit of professional trading, professional hours still going on, next week is might as well be a half week. I mean, one day is going to be a half day and the next day is going to be an off day fully. And then of course the week after that, most people just take off anyways. Most people just take off these next couple weeks essentially. So trading is a lot more different from that dynamic. And what that means is that retailers are actually going to be a bit in control. Now, this is again, not to incorporate what I'm talking about over this weekend. This weekend, I do expect a little bit of fuckery. So what do I mean by that? Wouldn't mind a bit of a downside move just to wash out with just one final fuck you to people in this market and then probably run it the other way. But how far can we go down? Well, we'll talk about that obviously. And if you find this maybe valuable, if you think that this is interesting, or if you just happen to give a fuck, maybe consider even herping and derping the like button right there. Again, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'm not going to be fucking mad. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. All right, cool. Let's go into the price action charts right here. I want to first address something right off the bat. So the real question is, where did Bitcoin close yesterday? And we're running off a CME. This is the one that really matters for long-term direction and for signals based off of just basically anything in my experience. These are a lot more important than anything that I see on spot. And the correct way to be doing this, after I've done a lot of back testing on this, is actually going below the daily and looking at the closing price right here, which represents, of course, the after hours trading, which is your real price actually. And technically speaking, we did close at 46,935. So we haven't necessarily seen a breakdown just yet. And Bitcoin, for what it's worth, is in some sort of a falling channel right here, which before on spot price action I was looking at as a descending triangle. I think that's wrong. I think that's actually wrong because this is clearly a channel going on right here. We don't see that same major wick to the downside that we have on spot price action. Again, if Bitcoin does break down over the weekend and play to move towards like, let's say 43 to 44, that'd be actually phenomenal for CME to open up into on Sunday and Monday, and then very likely run it the other way. That'd be picture perfect, especially giving us that beautiful test down to the 55 on the weekly and 5-day right here that we've been looking for. Because, well, that would just be an obvious basing point from like a technical trading perspective. And then from this area right here, I forgot to even mention why this is relevant. The daily closing price, if I'm on the daily time frame, the D over here is 46,250. In the 4 hour is 46,935, which does matter. That is a significant difference. And yes, I do run with this one over here. I used to think it was actually the daily that was more important, but after backtesting, no, it's actually the time frames under the daily that do essentially just align with better results, if you will. Okay, cool. So if we go over here to spot price action, and again, please understand that this is, I don't feel too compelled by weekend price action, but hey, this is kind of being shoved off the cliff right now. So regardless of what we just spoke about on CME, spot price action obviously is going to, rule over the weekend. It's the only thing trading. And what do we have right here? I mean, we still have the same sort of thing going on, right? Where Bitcoin, could we play a nice quick move down to 43 to 44? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, and what am I essentially getting that from? Well, guess what? We actually closed our first daily dildo below the white 200 moving average for the first time in a while, actually, basically since our last major correction on this current run from September at 40,000 bucks. So that does matter. And as long as Bitcoin's below there and, closing below, I guess it's like basically 47,000 bucks now. I am looking at that as, likely to give a weekend washout. Just again, one final fuck you to this market. Maybe something like this is what we see. CME opens up down here, and then you get a bear trap like that, which would be just fucking classic, man. Just absolutely classic. So I do want to reiterate my stance on that. Bitcoin is obviously bearish on the short-term time frame as long as we're below our next lower high, the next pivot point. So I've moved this down actually, obviously, because we have another lower high from 50,300 now down to 49,350. And remember, we did have hidden bearish divergence on basically all time frames, I think up to a 12-hour and maybe even a daily yesterday, which was giving us a little bit of a downside bias here. Yeah, daily and 12-hour did both confirm that. What about a 2-day? Nah, 2-day doesn't really have it there, so fair enough. Anyways, going back on over here. Again, I wouldn't mind just one quick move down there, just really wash out the last people and, well, then run it the other way. So again, the big focus is on where CME opens up on Sunday, that is, and Monday to a lesser extent right there, because that's going to really drive a lot of the other major things that I'm looking at that are going to matter a lot more for long-term price action. So basically the analysis is this: hey, Bitcoin can bounce up all the way to 48,250, and that'll just be another obvious lower high to me, as long as it's below about 49,350 right here. I do look at this as more likely to break out to the downside than the upside and continue on with the short-term move here. And as long as Bitcoin is on a macro scale, on a weekly closing basis scale, above our last $40,000 higher low, well, I do look at that as long-term macro bullish. So I'm looking for the easy trades on the other side, and that's really what this video is a preparation for. So let's go over a few more things as we went over invalidation, which would be a bear trap. Again, that's above 49,350. Target on that region would be basically your last high, obviously at 52,000 bucks, probably a little bit of a short-term pullback from there. And then, just Bitcoin mount another assault somewhere around 57, maybe even 59,000 bucks. Very likely, yes, we'd come back to that one when relevant. But for right now, it is, you should be aware, or at least it'd be relevant to be aware that on CME, which again is not trading over the weekend, is building up bullish divergences all the way up to a daily right here. So, just one more closing lower low, or maybe just open up a little bit lower on Sunday, Monday, then that's going to be, at least in my opinion, the easy trade right here. So let's talk about the setup for the week to come. Actually, before we get into that, I do want to address two more things for today's price action. Daily MACD will actually cross up with any sort of a closure above 47,450. That is relevant because if we go back on over here, that is pretty much in line with what we see the daily 200 moving average on the on the daily, obviously. But my point is that as long as you're below there, yeah, more likely to test down around that $43,000 to $44,000 region first before anything else. Can't really talk about fake out or bear trap as long as you're below, again, 49,350. That is a critical number. Anyways, going over to this chart over here. Yes. So this is spot price action right now for the daily stochastic momentum. And we do actually see it nosediving once again, as long as below where? 47,450. Craziness right there. So both the daily stochastic and MACD are in the same vein, and daily 200 simple right there as well. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, I do expect a bit of fuckery. If I'm just speaking off the cuff here, Bitcoin doing something like this over the weekend and then popping back up on Sunday, Monday would just be fucking classic and absolutely beautiful for really just, again, one last fuck you to most people within this market. Anyways, patience is going to be the name of the game right here. So we spoke about all of the things that I want to be aware of over the weekend here. Now let's get into the things that I really want to be prepared for this next week to come. I also forgot to mention, because I partnered up with Bybit now, which I have a link in the description below. Blah 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 blah. Shill. I think the best way to do it, or the most legitimate way to handle it, is I'll actually be posting some of my live trades in the member section on the YouTube channel, not in the Krown trading application or anything with regards to that, just on the YouTube channel. I'll probably put it in the program as well, of which I already have a shit ton in there, so fair enough. So you can look forward to that. I just want to, again, be giving more content out for people, so you can all see how I trade and all that good stuff, and maybe hopefully it's valuable in some way. All right, cool. Okay, so we got through that. We spoke about reversal conditions and bear trap conditions. Now let's talk about what's going to be very, very important when CME opens up on Sunday. So going back on over here, to our stochastic momentum on the daily, I want to once again talk about the same signal, of which we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 iterations of this. And the two iterations that I really want to focus on right now that are relevant to our current iteration is this one right here from March 2020, as denoted by this red right there, and this iteration over here from December 2018 lows at about 3,100, again with this iteration right here. Now you'll notice that the formations that Bitcoin was in during that time were ascending triangles right here, and of course right here for our current current one. And the signature that we're currently talking about is still within, is within the same sort of context as far as price action goes. And then also very similar as far as what you see as this fractal on this 11.5 read right here goes for, again, the daily on CME specifically. And I want to pull you back to the March 2021. You can see it come down to this region, bounce 1, reject, bounce 2, good. And that brings you all the way from like 5,000 to 60,000 basically. And then the one before that was this one over here, right? And this one actually very similar to the one that we're working on right now, where Bitcoin comes down, boom, bounce 1, reject, bounce 2, reject, bounce 3, off to the races. It took some time, obviously, but that was essentially a move from 4,000 to 14,000. So just want to kind of hammer that point in. If we go back to our current iteration over here, this one's very similar, in fact, to the 2018 one rather than the 2021, but all three of them have, a good sort of behavior between them. So in this case, and again, this is not trading over the weekend. So if Bitcoin does open up Sunday, Monday above 46,550, which guess what? That is your real closing price over here for CME, by the way, 46,935. Keep that number in mind. Then I do look for, that to be sort of the next piece of the puzzle. Ideally, however, the next sort of full-on verification of this move, and very likely a major low going in, is with Bitcoin essentially, the stochastic essentially coming back up above this last rejection right here at the critical zone. So cool. All right, so let's get on to this chart over here as far as timing goes. Hey, you want some fun stuff? We got the moons, baby. We got the moons, of which I think the winter solstice or whatever the fuck, the Bula moon is coming in tonight, or it's already happened, whatever it is, on the 18th of December. Again, that is, just a weird sort of date for Bitcoin and all markets. It's called the triple witching, just basically your second, the Friday before Christmas of every year. The Friday before Christmas every year, which is typically why you do see some like major price action postulated around there. But yeah, if you backtest this signal, which again, I'm not like, look, make your decisions for yourself. But if you actually backtest the signal, the old moons there, they've actually been better than 80% over the last year, just blindly trading them. So I'll just leave that right there. Obviously, we can also look at this one as well, which I essentially marked off around the, around the 20th of every month. You do see that Bitcoin does like put in some major pivots on price action. The last one, was a major high, to be fair, but usually you're looking for like a more obvious one like this, a more obvious low like this, like macro low right there, major low right there, major low right there, or another macro low right there, really major low right here, major high right here, high, low. Obviously for the last year, it's been working pretty damn well. So around the 20th of the month, which right now we're on the 18th. So, anywhere around there, give or take a couple of days, we do see major highs and major lows. So we're right around that number, alongside the Bula moon. So if you believe in all of that, well, perhaps that's compelling as well. I want to get into, what else do I want to get into? Okay, we got that. Yeah, let's get into the last thing here then. Yeah, we went through this nice and efficiently. So let's go over the underlying market dynamics, which again, I do look at as, well, very compelling for Bitcoin, very likely put in a low, sooner rather than later. And again, whether that low comes with one more drive towards 43 to 44, I don't have a strong opinion on. On a Saturday, Sunday, anything can fucking happen, obviously. But my strong opinion is on the underlying market dynamics right here. So first and foremost, the fear and greed index, once again in the extreme fearful zone. We're at a 23 to 24 read. We've been down there for basically since November 27th, I'd say. Let me actually just nail this one down. Basically the last week of November. So now we're into the third week of December. So you could effectively say it's like maybe 3.5 weeks working on right there. This is actually significantly more than what we saw on similar reads on the $40,000 low in, of course, September, the last major weekly low. And then it's only been outdone in recent history here by the summer lows, which we spent about 2.5 months in the fearful zone as well. So, typically this is a good signal to be on the lookout more for a major low than a major high in this case. Again, doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't play out one more washout to the downside and fill that last major wick low that we saw on December 4th. In fact, statistically speaking, that is rather likely to happen. I mean, that, typically does happen for what it's worth. But going back on over here, the other underlying market dynamics are very compelling as well. The global front rate has been trending towards zero. We even saw massive negative rates on the 4th of December, even more so than what we saw in September right here. So typically speaking, historically speaking, that has been more relevant towards finding lows than not, especially when the weekly trend is still to the upside. The global leverage ratio is turning up here, but that's very interesting because the open interest has actually turned down a little bit from yesterday to today. So this really represents the amount of Bitcoins coming off exchanges. which is really fucking interesting. I mean, we've seen consistent outflows on the net values over here for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, you know, whilst the professionals are kind of out of their office, the narrative coming up here is probably going to be that retailers are in control, and the smart retailers who are looking for reversals coming into January are going to front run the bigger institutional investors and bigger institutional traders. I mean, that's actually typically what does happen. So fair enough. It still takes some time, obviously, but you know, I'd really still take this this whole market cycle just one step at a time here. So yeah, I think we pretty much nailed everything that we want to talk about. If you want to just like nail this down to one easy to remember sentence, Bitcoin below especially 47,000, and I think it was like 300. I guess that offers up the potential for just one more washout here, or at least one more washout, I suppose. Could come as far down as, you know, 42,000, but I think anywhere between about 43 to 44 is probably rather staunch. And then I'd be looking for a bounce coming into Monday-ish region. If that bounce brings you back above, especially this area right here, the 46,550-ish region, that would be the next major good signal that Bitcoin's putting in a humongous bear trap, and it's probably going to work its way up to the mid to upper 50s. That would obviously have confluence with what you see over here on the daily MACD and on the daily stochastic momentum as well, which we briefly went over here. And then, of course, that would also bring Bitcoin on our spot price action back above the 200 simple. And if you are going to just be waiting for range resolution or just range bear trap confirmation, that would be above the red X right there, 49,350-ish region. And then, of course, there's going to be, you know, ebbs and flows along the way. But for right now, you know, it's a Saturday, man, so probably just, your time's probably just better spent like, look, I shouldn't be telling you what to do, but time is probably better spent just like not looking at charts, to be quite honest with you. Anyways, the easy trades are very likely in the week to come, so that's kind of what I want to be setting up for here. I think that's a good place to leave off this video. I hope that this was in some way helpful. If it wasn't, leave me a dislike and let me know in the comment section that you hate my face and that you think I'm a stupid island boy, of which I am. I'm a Chainlink boy, just trying to make it. Anyways, I think that's good enough for right now. I am going to be signing off. Take care. I hope this one serves you well, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.